Good morning, everyone. It is March 27, Wednesday, 2024, and the hissing you might be hearing is my radiator, which I can't seem to get fixed after 9 years of living here. Anyway, at the risk of oversharing, I wanted to share some personal information about me and why I'm doing this series of videos the way that I'm doing this series of videos. So first of all, I am sounding the alarm. I want to shine light into the darkness of untruth because there's been a lot of deception going on in Mount Vernon, New York. A lot. And I cannot sit by and just watch it happen. So I'm correcting the record, I'm doing fact checking, and I don't want it to seem that I'm beating up on anybody or that I'm being disrespectful. What I don't respect is deceit, deception. I don't respect lack of integrity, but I respect people as human beings. And I respect the offices in which they've been either appointed or elected, okay? I don't respect if they abuse their position. I don't respect if they use their position to unduly influence other people to do things that are not right. I don't respect the actions of targeting people who are weak and vulnerable, and corrupting them and bending them to one's will. And there's a lot of that going on in Mount Vernon. So speaking of the trustee board president of Mount Vernon Public Library, Shanice Coleman, I haven't always disagreed with her. I agree with her strongly on some points, but on other points, I have to call her out because what she's doing is wrong. Same thing with Hope Marable. She and I have not always disagreed. In fact, she and I have very strongly agreed on several very important points, which I will be commenting on in other future videos. But when she does something wrong, I have to call her out. Simple. And sometimes these two women are really at odds, yelling at each other in board meetings. It's disgraceful. It's so unprofessional. It's embarrassing. It's on public record and for all to see. Is this the example we want to give to our children on how to run such an important community institution as a library? So, ladies, get a grip, please. But I know why they can't, because I share something in common with them. I have recently realized more deeper levels of healing have come up for me, that I still have some healing to do with PTSD. A better name for it that I've learned in the last few months is PTSI, meaning post-traumatic stress injury. Because traumatic injury is actually an injury to the nervous system. And the way I learned about this, and the way I've been learning a lot about neurological dysregulation and how it impacts people long term, is because I've become an affiliate trainee speaker with the organization Million Kids. And I've given workshops at the Boys and Girls Club here in Mount Vernon to work with kids age 8 to 18 to talk to them about sextortion, about the dangers of predators on social media who pretend to be an attractive youth their age, and to lure them and convince them to send inappropriate photos and video to them. And then immediately the extortion, the sexual extortion begins. The short-term name is sextortion. And the trend since 2020 has been for teenage and even younger kids to take their lives rather than tell their parents that they've been sextorted, because they're so ashamed and humiliated and angry and betrayed, and just so many overwhelming emotions that are even difficult for an adult to deal with. So in my work in working to prevent child suicide, I did a deep dive as I'm known to do. And also I miss my radio show. So I would research every week for a different topic when I used to speak at 10 a.m. every Tuesday on WVOX, 1460 on your AM dial. Anyway, so I did a deep dive into this on how to prevent child suicide. And I'm working on a series of talks, which I will be delivering over the next few months around various locations, collaborating with different individuals and organizations. I gave a talk on January 31 through the Administration of Children's Services of New York City, working through the Office of Child Trafficking Prevention and Policy. So that's kind of the backdrop of all this research, of why I've been doing the research. And I've stumbled across and learned about some experts in the field. And I learned that I still have symptoms from adverse childhood experiences. There was a big study done by Kaiser Permanente in California back in the late 90s of 17,000 people. They did a 2-wave study of adults. The first wave was for the adults to answer a questionnaire about their childhood trauma experience, the traumatic experiences in childhood, and which are called adverse childhood experiences instead of traumatic. So just adverse is a lower standard of criteria. And then the second wave of survey with these same adults, 17,000 people, was to look at their medical conditions in the present time. And there was a lot of correlation that was made with the level of stress they experienced as children associated with their health issues in their adulthood. It's a straight line. And experts like Gabor Mate and others have really seen in the clinical setting as physicians that this is the case. Anna Runkle, who is the founder and owner of the YouTube channel Crappy Childhood Fairy, gives a heart-wrenching autobiography on her channel that I watched a week or so ago. And she shares her journey. She had some serious medical issues stemming from the birth of her son. And she subsequently had 14 surgeries and could never quite seem to heal and recover from any of them until towards the end when she finally had a breakthrough. And she looks back on that time, and she knows and she understands that her adverse childhood experiences, her complex trauma from childhood, which included growing up in a home where there was a lot of abuse, neglect, hunger, alcoholism, and so forth, poverty, she really struggled. And she draws a straight line from those early life experiences to her inability to recover from her, chronic and deteriorating medical issues. So I have found that to be true for myself because I've been on a health journey for many years. And one of my teachers, David R. Hawkins, was a psychiatrist, New Yorker actually, but I met him in Sedona, Arizona twice, and once in I heard him speak 3 times, twice in Arizona and once in California. He would often say that patterns intensify before they break. And I have found that to be true for myself. As I go deeper into my journey of self-care, I have found that I have some challenges with things like sleeping, getting a good night's sleep, getting good nutrition, getting enough exercise. And actually, according to Dave Asprey, I'm active, I walk a lot, but that's not the same as exercise. So that's a different situation, a different topic. But self-care is so important, and a lot of people just don't really know how to do it. So when I see the displays of inappropriate behavior that I saw on March 20 at the library trustee board meeting, I felt compassion. I felt sadness and compassion for everyone who was involved in the high volume, high decibel exchange that went on. Because I've hit my limit too. I've been triggered too. I've experienced what I recently learned. It's called roid rage. When you're taking steroid for inflammation. I had a knee injury. My knee was double the size because of a snapped meniscus, and I could barely walk. I got to the doctor, and I had 11 needles in my knee that day, and no warnings. And later that night, I had a case of roid rage, and I was triggered by some stimuli, and it wasn't good. But knowing that it happens, and knowing how it happens and why it happens, next time I get a steroid shot, I'm going to be more mindful and reach out for support, and not go through it alone. Just in case I get triggered, I have someone there to be like, yeah, no, you're going to sit down and have a drink of water and relax. You're okay. Everything's okay. But the PTSD trigger and roid rage combined is a powerful cocktail, so to speak. And I didn't understand what it was about at the time, but now I do. And I'm very sympathetic. I'm very empathetic. And as I work with the incarcerated at Valhalla Jail, I've always known not always, but for many years I've known the phrase, hurt people hurt people. And many of my clients in Valhalla Jail share their stories of terrible suffering as children, terrible abuse at the hands of their mothers, or the mother's friends, mother's boyfriends, even relatives. And it's a tragedy. I want to expand this out to look at Mount Vernon in more general terms. Did you know that roughly 60% of the incarcerated individuals at the Valhalla Jail, the Westchester County Jail in Valhalla, when they are asked to give an address for their release, of where they can be contacted, or where they will go upon if they get bailed out, or when they finish their sentence, 60% of the incarcerated individuals put a Mount Vernon address. 60%. That's really something. And I don't know what percentage of correctional officers are living in Mount Vernon, but there's a good portion of COs who work at Valhalla who live in Mount Vernon. So that's interesting. And then if you go onto a registry and look at registered sex offenders in Mount Vernon, the number is staggering. I don't know what the current number is, but I looked it up once and I was shocked. So you combine that with, you cross-reference that, and I'd be interested to know how many children in Mount Vernon have at least one parent or one or more relative who is incarcerated. This is traumatic for children to have this going on. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of trauma connected to that. So I just want to kind of give that as a big picture in terms of my concern and love for this community, and my desire to help in any way that I can. And I have been of service to this community through different ways. My awareness of the level of trauma has shifted recently, and my understanding of the long-term effects of that trauma is becoming more clear to me, because that's now like a new filter that I'm looking through when I look at various segments of the Mount Vernon community. And unfortunately, you know, when I rewatch the video that I caught on March 20 at the library, that is neurological injury on full display. It's not their fault. They are innocent. It's not their fault that they're injured. But I want to raise awareness about this because it is an injury that can be healed. The modality that I believe is most effective is somatic experiencing, because trauma is trapped in our bodies. And Peter Levine is the founder of this system called somatic experiencing. You can look him up, Google somatic experiencing, SOMATIC experiencing. Peter Levine, Levine, he wrote a book called Awakening the Tiger Within, I think. I'll show you the book some other time. I don't have it handy, but I finished reading it recently, and it's fascinating. Another great person leading this effort in educating people about neurological dysregulation and how to fix it is Irene Lyon, IRENELYON.com. Irene Lyon, check it out. Check her out. She's got free courses you can take to learn how to, you know, just kind of get back to center, to regulate yourself. The Crappy Childhood Fairy has a process that she teaches for free called the Daily Practice. And I've taken this course. I practice it myself. I need to do it today. I haven't done it in a few days. But there are tools that I want to make the community aware of to help heal the injury that results from critical incidents, traumatic incidents, adverse experiences, whatever you want to call them. These things can do real damage that are measurable. Brain scans show the damage, and there are other clinical ways of measuring the damage that that stress can do. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. That is that kind of neurological injury is something that I share with both, that I believe I share with both Shanice Coleman and Hope Marable, based on the symptoms that they are exhibiting, based on their behaviors. I resonate, I recognize that they are triggered, and they are acting out of survival instinct, and for many reasons that I may not know. Many reasons explain this behavior. The biggest takeaway is that they are injured and they're in need of healing. And I hope that they reach out and get the help that they need, as I am doing for myself. I'm adding new coaches to my team every few months. And I've got quite a team by now because I had pretty serious chronic medical issues during and after the time I was on antibiotics for the better part of 20 years. So I wiped out my gut biome and had to figure out, you know, I had a lot of symptoms related to that physicians and specialists didn't recognize as being related to the gut. So I've had my own health journey, um, medical and neurological and emotional and spiritual. And so I just want to share that with the community and say when I critique someone, it's not a personal attack. It's based on their behavior. And I'm calling on people to stop and think what they're doing. Think critically of who might be manipulating them, who might be using them, the possibility that they might be basically being used as puppets, and that they're on the wrong side of history. They're on the wrong side of history, despite how included they feel by and respected and appreciated and esteemed they may feel by leaders in the community, top leaders in the community. Consider that you're being used as a puppet for reasons that are not for the best good, not for the highest good of the community of Mount Vernon, and especially that will further marginalize the vulnerable, the very old, the very young, the very poor, and the very sick. People who need libraries the most will suffer the most when this library is not managed well. So we have time to turn this around, but we just need to wake up. So that's a little bit about my personal journey with my health and how I feel sad, and I feel great compassion when I see people acting out in pain, and they may not even be aware of how much pain that they're in. So that's about it for now. If you have any questions, feel free to text me. My number is 914-792-8100. Text me first, and let me know who you are so that I can find a quiet place and call you back, because I'm out and about a lot, and I'm in and out of meetings, on and off of phone calls, online meetings, virtual meetings, consultations, etc. So best if you just text me, and I will call you back as soon as I can. So this video's gone on long enough. I didn't expect it to go this long, but I just wanted to share a little bit about me, about my motives for doing these videos, about my perspective, about how I don't disagree with everybody all the time. And I do look for points of agreement, even with people who come at me, personally, and try to destroy my name, my reputation, and my livelihood. I still really lean into my commitment that I made during 2020, when I had a lot of time to be home and think, that I was making a commitment to live a life of unconditional love, and that I am love, and that my purpose was to save lives. And I had no idea that that would mean going into suicide prevention, but I really got that message loud and clear. It was like 2020, early 2021, which is a good thing, because for the better part of 2 years. I used to say 18 months, but I think it was longer than that. It kind of faded in and faded out. I lived with suicidal ideations for nearly 2 years. 2 years. It was a long time. And even my closest friends had no idea the depth of my struggle. At the worst period in the middle of that time, it was, or towards the end, because patterns intensify before they break. It was very intense, and I was making plans of how I would take my life and what I would do with my cat, and that I had to, clear out stuff in my apartment because I didn't want my parents going through all my stuff and having to decide what to do with it. So I started, clearing out my space with the intention of knowing that I would be leaving it all behind very soon. And so I went through that during lockdown between 2020 and 2022, around there. I got out of it in 2022. And so I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be in that darkness. And I know how it felt for me. For everyone, it's different. But I know what it was for me. And I'm grateful for that time because it helped to give me clarity that I choose life. I choose to live abundantly. I choose to live in love and express unconditional love for everyone, no matter what, to not take things personally, and to see people as injured rather than evil. I do believe there are evil people in the world, but I think most people who are doing life-destroying things are injured, not evil. They're in need of healing, not punishment or containment. So yeah, that's really where I'm coming from. And I choose life, and I choose to give life and help support the people and institutions who are committed to contributing to the quality of life on the planet in general, and to the community of Mount Vernon, New York in particular. All right, with that, I'm really done. I'm grateful for this opportunity to share this with you, and I hope that it will help you understand how I'm framing my videos as I move forward to call out what I see is wrong, what's being done to that damages the community, that is causing harm to the community. So, okay, with that, I love you, everybody. Please have a good day. Please stay warm and cozy out there on this chilly, overcast day. Spring is my favorite time in New York, and I hope that that you enjoy this time between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. Don't make any big decisions. Focus on what you would like your life to be, but just tread lightly, be gentle with yourself, and be generous with yourself. Envision the life that you want to manifest for yourself, and you can have it. Okay, that's it for now.